When Homer was young, he stuck 16 crayons up his nose. He suddenly sneezed and the crayons flew out, but one remained lodged in Homer's brain forever. It turned out that every time the doctor looked at the X-ray, his finger was positioned right over the crayon, blocking it from view. If only the crayon were removed, Homer's IQ would be unmatched. One day, the Simpson family came to visit an animation convention. After watching an episode of a cat-and-mouse battle, Homer said his worldview had been completely overturned, so they went to the animation production site. Before the host had time to explain the interactive rules, Homer had already gone on stage and put on the motion capture suit. The host had no choice but to bring him in front of the screen and told him that whatever movements he made, the dog on the screen would mimic. Homer put on a performance in front of everyone, making the audience laugh heartily. After the performance, Homer didn't take off the suit right away, but instead went to the bathroom. Homer made everyone else burst into laughter, while his family was very embarrassed. Homer thought the motion capture suit was a great thing. People could use it to create many funny movements. So he ran to the bank, and behind some plants, he directed a scene of a couple's conversation by himself, fooling the bank staff. Then he withdrew all his savings and in one go bought all the shares of the animation company. The staff wanted to tell him that stock trading was risky, but Homer wouldn't listen at all. He had already imagined a future surrounded by beautiful women, with gorillas counting money for him. A happy life indeed. The staff had no choice but to oblige him and press the button to confirm the investment. From then on, Homer was very concerned about the company's stock price fluctuations. As it turned out, the stock fell the very next day, and Homer was the only shareholder. He rang a bell and called a family meeting. Homer told Bart and the others that he had lost all the family's money. Marge looked at him in disbelief. Homer came to the bar in distress to drown his sorrows. A drinking buddy provided him with a money-making opportunity, to go to the hospital as a guinea pig volunteer. It had certain side effects, but the money came quickly. The next day, Homer went to the hospital. The next test was related to cognition, but a mouse appeared from somewhere and kept stealing the show. Its reactions were always one step faster than Homer's. The test personnel were somewhat worried, suspecting there was something wrong with Homer's brain. So they began to examine Homer's brain images. The doctor first tested a mysterious perfume on him, which caused Homer great pain. Then they gave him weight loss pills. Delicious food passed before Homer's eyes, yet Homer surprisingly had no reaction at all. Homer hadn't lost his appetite. It turned out that due to side effects, he had temporarily gone blind. At this point, the female doctor saw on the computer the crayon lodged in Homer's brain. She learned it was the one Homer had accidentally stuck up his nostril as a child. The doctor asked him if he wanted to remove the crayon. He might become smart or he might die. Homer agreed without a second thought. After the successful surgery, Homer underwent a great change. As soon as he walked in the door, he declared that his IQ had increased. He could name the mayor of any state and the names of historical figures. He even asked Lisa to go to the library to enjoy knowledge together. The Rubik's Cube he couldn't solve before, Homer could now complete instantly. He even used a series of formulas to prove that God doesn't exist, and immediately showed the process to Flanders. Flanders promptly burned it. The principal of Springfield Elementary learned of this, and invited Homer to give a speech at the school to warn students not to stick crayons in their brains. Homer told everyone that people might have their IQ lowered by real crayons, but those invisible, intangible crayons sometimes also reduce people's intelligence.
I am here to give hope to the least of you, because we all have a crayon up our nose. Maybe it's not a crayon made of wax. Maybe it's a crayon made of prejudice.
Lisa proudly gave Homer a thumbs up. At this point, Homer actually wrote a factory safety report and sent it to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. He thought this was for the good of the factory, but his action caused the nuclear plant to shut down directly. Everyone who worked at the plant lost their jobs. Homer, walking while reading a book, passed by the bar and found it noisy. When he walked into the bar, he discovered they were angrily burning Homer's effigy. Homer tried to reason with them, but no one would listen. Even his good friends Lenny and Carl mocked him for causing so many people to lose their jobs. At this point, Homer actually wrote a factory safety report and sent it to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. He thought this was for the good of the factory, but his action caused the nuclear plant to shut down directly. Everyone who worked at the plant lost their jobs. They angrily burned Homer's effigy at the bar. Homer tried to reason with them, but no one would listen. Even his good friends Lenny and Carl mocked him for causing so many people to lose their jobs. Homer sadly went to Lisa and asked her why, after becoming smarter, he had become so unhappy. Lisa said that the smarter people are, the better they can see through the essence of things, and thus they don't fit in. So she told Homer not to overthink things and to go outside for some fresh air. Homer drove around looking about and came to an opera house to watch a performance. Everyone around him was amused by the plot, but he alone was serious and even predicted what would happen next. The staff thought Homer was there to cause trouble and threw him out directly. Homer felt especially lonely, so he went to find the doctor, saying he wanted to go back to being that carefree fool. After hearing this, the doctor pulled out a business card from his pocket and told him to find Mo, an unlicensed surgeon who might have a solution. Mo strapped Homer to the operating table. Homer's request was simple, to turn him back into his old self. Mo then picked up a crayon and hammered it into his brain. At this moment, Lisa discovered one of her crayons was missing. She hoped it wasn't Homer who took it, but when Homer came crashing through the window holding a lottery ticket, she knew her hope was shattered. Homer turned to leave when suddenly a letter fell from him. Lisa opened the envelope and found it was a letter Homer had written to her before the surgery. The letter said he wanted to apologize to Lisa. He couldn't fulfill their agreement, but after going through this, he realized just how smart Lisa really was. Homer would always be proud of her.
Oh, you want a hug? Well, that I know how to do.
Lisa was so moved that she embraced Homer. Though foolish, Homer was still the father who loved Lisa. Homer understood what it took to make himself happy. Although he had become smart, he no longer fit in with his former life. So Homer would rather be a happy fool than a lonely genius.